panel discussion, and we will do it at the end, after everyone. Thank you. I'm just conscious of Talal's time. So Talal, a dear friend with whom I've worked in ADGM for a number of years, he's recently been promoted in his organization, someone who I highly respect from Abu Dhabi Global Markets. Please come on stage. I would also like to welcome CA Daya Nivas Sharma, a member of our Central Council. His father was a contemporary of my father and really a very well-respected firm in Hyderabad. And I had the recent opportunity to see him as well in Hyderabad. A round of applause for Daya. One of my contemporaries, someone who grew together in professional services with me, past chairman of Dubai Chapter, CA James Matthew, managing partner and CEO of UHY James. And last but not the least, a professional colleague who I've recently met, Shashank Khatri, Shashank from Ernst & Young, Middle East. So thank you, gentlemen, for first of all agreeing to come on this panel discussion. Now, I'll just start the question, and this is a question to everyone in the audience. Just looking at the discussion which has happened so far, and there is a significant shift as far as technology is concerned, workforce is concerned, client expectations are concerned. What do you think will define the future of audit as far as UAE is concerned in terms of your own firms in the next 3 to 5 years? Maybe we'll start with you, Shashank.
Thank you. Firstly, good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible. It's a pleasure being here today. And I must admit, I'm not a regular to the CA chapter events, but every time I come in and see the energy, you start to rethink about the choices you've made in the past few years. So hopefully I'll be here more often going forward. It's a nice question, Paddy. I think this has been the hot topic that all of us have been discussing over the last, say, year and a half now. And if I have to look at what are the key 3 shapers that would essentially move the audit profession over the next 3 to 5 years, I'll categorize them into 1, technology. Second is going to be the extensive use of data. And the last one is going to be the broader expectation from the stakeholders in terms of the quality of audit that we would deliver. Now, if I have to talk about, say, the technology, it's no longer going to be, and like you had mentioned earlier as well, it's no longer going to be restricted to just getting details around the standard tasks that we are using AI for. But the agentic AI that we would start seeing in the future is something where you would use AI more often for aspects around risk planning, the risk mitigation, risk assessment. So it's going to be much more involved. But what that essentially does is it frees up the time of the audit teams to focus on more judgmental and complex areas. So it's not that it's going to replace what we essentially do, but it frees up our tasks to focus on more meatier aspects of audit. Data has always been there, at least for the last 5 years. I've been working on the audits. We've used data extensively. It's only going to go further and further. In fact, perhaps sampling-based audit is going to be the audit of the past. What's going to be mattered in the future is going to be how well you correlate data, what's the anomalies that you identify. And then it's going to be a much more targeted-driven audit approach that you would see in the future. And what that essentially does is that you get the technology, you get the data, the expectations from all stakeholders, whether it's the shareholders, whether it's the financial institutions or the regulators, is going to be providing a high-quality audit. So if I have to sum it up, it's going to be human-led, technology-enabled audits going forward, and that's perhaps the order of the day.
Thank you. Human-led, technology-enabled audit, and sampling is something of the past. Getting comfort on 100% of the population is something of the future. James, appreciate your views.
Good morning, everyone. I'm a little bit embarrassed to sit in between 2 regulators on the left side and my right side, the big boys here on the big 4. and then I'm on having another regulator sitting right in front of me. So I'll be very mindful of what I'm speaking about today. So I will also try and bring in, as you've rightly put in, I chair the audit committee of one of the largest healthcare group in India, listed in India. So what we see from auditors, what sort of expectations as auditors we expect from them. Incidentally, we had the call yesterday evening with Paddy and all the panelists, and I was speaking with the auditor, one of the partners of the auditor. I don't want to name which the company is doing the audit. So I said, the last 6 years you've been doing the audit. So what sort of shift in the number of people which you deploy for the audit? So I think he was suspecting that I'm trying to negotiate on the fees. So he was trying to say it in a different way. To take it from what Khatri said, I think a lot of sampling, technology-related things coming in, you will see a lot of shift from there happening. But the judgment part, what you have rightly put in, this is not something which we are going to automate, and that's not going to happen. As long as the trust is there, or as long as the investors are there, or stakeholders are there, the trust is going to be there. That's going to be the cornerstone of our profession. So that is not something which can automate. And so I feel that maybe there could be a shift in a little bit of area where we've been doing, as you put in on the research, all of those things can help you out. But moving forward, and incidentally, I was just seeing the audit monitoring report, which has come out from DFSA and ADGM as well. And by the way, I put both of them in ChatGPT and then said, what are the common things came? Most of the things were common, I would say. So at the end of the day, what regulators expect, I think professional skepticism, the judgment, the way you challenge the assumptions, these are things which will be going to be there. Thank you.
Thank you. And exactly what the PCOB has mentioned and the UK FRC has mentioned, which James has stressed, is that as far as professional judgment is concerned, this is the responsibility of the external auditor, despite whatever is happening in AI. There, you are in a very unique position. You are both a practitioner as well as part of our institute in the Central Council. So I would love to hear your perspective on both fronts.
Yeah, Paddy, thank you. And see, I was fortunate to be the founding chairman of AI in ICAI committee. And I can proudly say that, training 50,000 chartered accountants across the globe has been the most unique position which I carried on my shoulder, and very happy with it. I deserve a round of applause, though. See, I don't know how many of you have read the book 0 to 1. Anyone read the book here, 0 to 1?
There are two of them.
So technically, if you have not read, then I think for me the story of AI is over. I'm sorry. I have a total different view. Because AI has been created now. Now it's only going to improvise over a period of time. Now what is, as a chartered accountant, we need to understand is, this AI, from where the data is coming in. Have you thought about it? Every regulator in the world has ensured the capturing of data from no other persons from the professional chartered accountant or CPA. Every return, every information when you talk about, the data is getting processed. Who are the people who are processing data? We are the people who are processing the data. And this data which is getting processed is being used differently every time to analyze, assess, and reassess certain facts. So as a chartered accountant, what you need to understand is what data is there in the system and how do you process the data, what is the risk attached to it. Today, even today, after so many years, we are talking about AI as an important tool, but for me, just for you to tell, I am fortunately the chairman of Digital Accounting and Assurance Board. We have moved ahead of many institutes in the world, whether it is a CPA, whether it is ACCA, whether it is any institute, IIA, or anyone. Because we are come out with the world's first information system audit standards, which is now going to be launched. I'm going to talk about it in detail going forward. And can you think that's a standard talks about? There's a standard which talks about how do you audit AI. Which institute has done it? If anyone knows, kindly let me know. This is the only institute which has come out with it. Just imagine when you talk about the systems, the processes, and most importantly, the integration of laws which are happening across the globe. I'm not talking about India alone or Dubai alone, but globally, the integration of laws, whether you talk from an external affairs ministry, where you talk about the tax authorities, when you talk about VAT authorities, when you talk about Companies Act, when you talk about regulatory framework, anywhere, just sit back and visualize at 360-degree the kind of data integration which is happening and the data universe which is getting created. This is where we need to understand it is not about how to use AI, but how to audit AI should be our vision to think from a larger perspective.
Thank you, Daya. Thank you, Daya. Very, very interesting. And I should commend Daya and the Institute for the investment they have done in terms of digital audits in India. Really, it's path-breaking. And I have seen the literature of what is being issued by FRC, by PCOB, IASB, and the work which ICAI has done is really commendable.
Thank you.
So we now come to our regulators here in our marketplace. So would love to hear from Talal the regulatory perspective in terms of the future of audit.
Thank you, Paddy. And thank you to the ICAI, to Chairman Rishi. Good morning, everyone. So before I comment on this, I'm speaking in my personal capacity, and the views that I express are my own and not necessarily of the ADGM or the Registration Authority. So it's important to put that out there. Okay. Agree with everything. That's some very important points. But I want to shed a bit more light from a regulator perspective. Now, I see this as a very, very strong opportunity looking ahead. ADGM in particular is going through phenomenal growth. Just to give you an idea, 5 years ago, we had about 3,000 entities licensed in ADGM. Today, that number is more than 14,000. And you will all have seen, thank you. Early in 24, the federal cabinet passed a resolution expanding the scope of ADGM, and the island adjacent to Al Reem Island, that was added to our jurisdiction. Now, coming back to audit, we as the commercial regulator for the jurisdiction, we see audit and auditors playing a very, very critical gatekeeper role. With the future of audit, AI coming into it, we see this as a huge opportunity and a better method for auditors to show how important it is, the role that they carry out. Because there'll be less time spending on detailed testing perhaps, more challenging management, more looking at, as you were saying, contracts, complicated areas, and more kind of moving away from sample testing to continuous monitoring, for instance, as well as being able to show more collaboration with the regulator. Because audit is, we do what we do to protect the public interest, to protect investors, to protect stakeholders. All of that, I think, should really, really improve with the future of the implementation of AI across the audit profession.
Thank you, Talal. And as a segue to that, I have a second question on workforce planning. Earlier during my discussion, I had pointed out that we are moving away from the pyramid to the diamond shape. As well, it's estimated that probably at that associate level, maybe around 50% of the work done by that associate can be done by AI. So I just wanted to get your views around workforce planning as to how you're seeing your subject entities approaching it and the impact on the profession.
Okay, so the total population of audit firms in ADGM, again, to give everyone a little bit of context, 5 years ago, it was 16 audit firms we had. Now, the number is just shy of 60.
60.
60 audit firms registered in our jurisdiction. And are we seeing such a massive increase? Because the business is increasing. The demand for auditors is increasing. But also keep in mind, audit firms are multidisciplinary firms. They will provide accounting, bookkeeping, tax compliance, tax advisory services, and of course, not to mention the consultancy. So coming back to your specific point about workforce, it is adapting, it is growing quite a bit, because as the commercial regulator, we also are seeing the visas and the work permits. The workforce in ADGM is skyrocketing. So I think they're responding in a way that meets the requirements of the business that's put forward to them.
Thank you, Talal. And Daya, you must be seeing new student registration at the institute, which forms part of our population to recruit. How are you seeing? Are more people coming in to as students? Are more chartered accountants going out of the system? And looking at the future of audit and workforce planning, what are the implications from your perspective?
See, the answer is very simple. I just made my statement earlier that we train close to 50,000 chartered accountants hands-on. I'm not talking about a virtual class or a pre-recorded class. It's basically a classroom training which is hands-on. We train 50,000 people. That means the kind of demand which is there is going high. Now, parallelly, when you talk about the students, just for, I don't know how many of you are aware, the new syllabus of ICAI actually has every chapter, as a last chapter, use of technology in financial reporting, use of technology in tax compliances, use of technology in corporate law, use of technology in audit. So just imagine the syllabus is already moved towards a direction where every chapter has been added. We had a separate, subject itself to write examination, but was no relevance with the respective topics or subjects as such. But now that has been incorporated in every subject, every vertical in detail. Now just tell you, very simple. I don't know how many of you are aware, we have close to 36,000 chartered accountants who have qualified information system audits. 36,000, and close to 17,000 chartered accountants who have qualified forensic. Now just imagine what is the difference between then and now is going to be. Earlier it was more of a classroom learning, but now the information system audit standards which we are talking about, so DISA, which is equivalent to CISA, no institute or no profession in the world actually gives you a practical hands-on training. If I am permitted, I want to play one small video of a minute.
Yes, please.
Can I request the office to play this video? This is a very interesting one. I want you to really think from the perspective what the topic is going to be discussed here. It's all about the ICAI, nothing to do about me.
The world has changed. Businesses are digital, frauds are digital, risks are digital, and assurance must become digital too. Regulators today demand far more than traditional audits. Cybersecurity, digital trust, data privacy, technology risk, tech governance, resilience. The future requires a new generation of professionals. For over 7 decades, ICAI has strengthened trust, governance, and transparency. And now, ICAI is redefining the future of digital assurance. DISA transformed information systems audit in India. More than 36,000 chartered accountants became technology assurance professionals. But the world evolved. Now, the next evolution. Introducing DISA 4.0, a future-ready framework for digital trust and technology assurance. Built for the new era of cybersecurity, cloud, cyber, data protection, and emerging technologies. Designed with practical learning, hands-on labs, real-world case studies, cyber audit simulations, SOC walkthroughs, and regulator-aligned frameworks. Aligned with global benchmarks, mapped to modern regulatory expectations, powered by ICAI's Information Systems Audit Standards. DISA 4.0 is globally benchmarked, locally relevant, and future-focused. The future of assurance is here. DISA 4.0, shaping the next generation of digital trust leaders.
You are asking what institute is moving? Get me another institute which is close to us in delivering what we are promising. And just to tell you, friends, is like, day before yesterday, or last 3 days rather, we have changed the entire curriculum of DISA. And For the first time, we are thankful to the council that it gave a permission to create its own data analytics, forensics, cybersecurity lab, which we are going to make in Hyderabad, Center of Excellence, where it is going to be hands-on training with all the tools and technology which is available. And the beauty is this is not going to be used only for the purpose of training. This is the first time we are coming out with a model which is pay and use model. Mean you have an engagement, don't invest on technology till the time you have confidence, come to the institute, use the tools, technologies, and be ready, and then start delivering. Once you have the confidence, start delivering. So this is what is actually happening in India. When you talk about forensics, similarly, we are actually working. See, today we are talking about technology alone. Technology alone is not something which is going to be relevant. Please understand. It has to have a face or touch of forensic also. Because the technology, the kind of cyber crimes which are happening, you can't even imagine. You're talking about AI continuously on use, but the kind of risk which is attached to it, are we auditing? Are we even thinking about auditing that? Is something which is very critical, and that is where Institute is coming up with the new courses. And just for your final, just a very quick one, DISA 4.0 is going to be the new gen chartered accountants who are going to be trained. It's 16 hours of e-learning, 2 days of immersive learning, 8 days of classroom learning. Can you just imagine? Similarly, we are talking about DISA Plus, which is people who have completed DISA, they have to redo the entire course. We are introducing a concept of 10 hours of mandatory CP for all the DISA holders. For mandatory CP for forensic guys, we are getting the certification. We already got the certification for DPDP. We trained people. We are already now getting 3 days of certification course for cybersecurity for chartered accountants. Just imagine. So these are all the new things which ICAI is already moved with. So now I think this is sufficient for us to...
Then absolutely, in terms of the future of workforce, ICAI is really investing in terms of its curriculum, and thank you for sharing the video. James.
So I think CA Aniket Talati said, controlled, alt and delete. I think this is where a lot of learning, unlearning, relearning is happening. If you look around the Institute of our own chapter, I think you got an upcoming session coming for a 3-day masterclass on AI. So, I mean, when you ask somebody, how many of you are using AI, I think around 80% of the people raise their hands, right? So I think this is no option for us to move. There will be, slightly, there would be some, I think, job losses at the lower end. But that's not scaring me. But I would take a minute and say, Mohammed Allabar, everybody knows, I guess, he is, chairman of MR Properties and one of the most liquid companies in the Middle East. I think they carry around $14-15 billion of cash and $5 billion of profit they make every year. And they said in the last 3 years, he hasn't hired a single person in Emaar. And he also said that Noon is going to cut down his workforce by 50% in the next few years' time. This is the scariest part. I don't know. I will ask, Paddy this question. What do you think about it?
Well, I mean, the view in some of the large professional services firm is to improve the metric revenue per employee. This happens 2 ways. One is increase the revenue itself. Second is the denominator is the number of employees. So there is expectation that the number of employees will either stay flat or go down. And that has its impact on workforce planning. And really, you have that dilemma as a professional services firm because over the years, all of them have employed a number of fresh graduates, trained a number of people in workforce. And given the advent of AI, you're seeing, if you look at all of the large professional services firm, the number of people they are hiring, it's more or less, it's replacement hiring. And the fresh graduates, they're finding it extremely difficult to gain entry due to what I described earlier. And maybe you can share some insight, Shashank, in terms of workforce planning in EY.
The one interesting aspect that I've started to notice about that, about the overall workforce planning has been the sudden interest that the Gen Zs have started to show in the profession. So over the years, the standard audit tend to be a bit more mundane in terms of what you're doing. So the interest started to drop. But interestingly, Gen Zs, for example, are the first native AI users. That's the first generation of native AI users. So now with AI getting integrated into audit, I've started to see them show a lot more interest in the work. So I feel it's only an opportunity for people to grow and upscale themselves rather than actually losing out on jobs.
Thank you. I will ask Talal a question because he has to depart. In the UAE, we have multiple regulators. We have the FSA, we have ADGM, we have the central bank, we have the AAA, and we also have Abu Dhabi Accountability Authority, amongst others. And as professional services firms, and you saw 40% of the audience is professional services firms here, they are required to comply with regulations of multiple regulators. Now, what does the future of regulation look like? And whereas we've seen certain bodies come together and sign MOUs, for example, to test firms or look at ISQM 1, in your view, what else can be done? Many of you are members of IFIAR. What can we do in terms of streamlining regulations for the audit profession in the UAE?
Very, very good question. And I think the CMA is also very important and
yes.
upcoming. I mean, yeah, doing a lot in this space. Now, I'll speak from ADGM's perspective. We regularly reach out and collaborate with other regulators, including the DFSA. Naveed and I are very close friends, but also very good professional collaborators as well. Our respective organizations are both members of the International Forum of Independent Audit Regulators. There are only about 56 or 57 members across the globe. In terms of collaboration in the UAE, I know the DFSA has done quite a bit. We are also moving in that direction where we are looking to have more MOUs with other regulators so that we can see where our regulatory efforts can be combined or there could be more collaboration. But I do want to say that the collaboration will, even if it does happen looking ahead, it will be more around how firms are operating in terms of their whole firm procedures, how the practices are managed and run, how their systems of controls work. But the underlying entities that they audit or they act for in terms of their professional services, that will still have to, the competent authority will still be where that particular entity is domiciled. So an ADGM entity, for instance, might be audited by an audit firm that is registered and licensed in several different jurisdictions, has different regulators playing, or different regulators that are in the mix. But ultimately, it will all link back to the client that it's operating or acting for, and where that entity is domiciled. Does that? Would you like me to add some more or anything?
You've answered like a regulator,
yeah.
But we'll take that. Yeah, thank you. And maybe, Naveed, maybe we can pick your brain on this as well. So
yeah, I'm sure you will.
I want to make use of the presence of DFSA as well. And I believe you've signed an MOU, so you may be able to shed some further light in terms of what you plan to do.
Sure, thank you. I'm on the next panel on IFRS 18, but let's talk about the future of audit, topic very close to my heart. The DFSA, Capital Markets Authority.
Naveed, come sit here, because I need to leave in 2 minutes anyway.
No, it's all right.
Seriously?
No, it's okay. Huh? No, it's okay. Thank you so much. So Capital Markets Authority and Ministry of Economy, which grants the audit licenses in the entire UAE, we signed a MOU and we started a joint ISQM inspection. And the idea is that we will be covering 97% of the capital markets through joint inspections. The inspections have already started, and hopefully by mid of next year, we will cover the 97% of the capital market to give a confidence that the system of quality management is working in the UAE. Yes, we are a fragmented economy when it comes to the regulators and the respective mandates, but we are working very closely. And Talal's now point of that ADGM is looking to sign more MOUs. Hopefully we will see ADGM on this side as well to complete the full regulatory cycle. Inspection of independent file or engagement files are reducing globally. PCOB has announced that they will be looking at more of the firm-wide procedures. More regulators have started, but it's not going away. So we will continue to focus on our independent or individual engagement files, which are significantly important, and so as ADGM is doing it. But the key is the respective work together and aligning. And as you mentioned, Paddy, earlier, there is significant investment required in technology. If regulators would come together, the amount of money has been invested by a professional services firm in billions. None of the regulators can individually match that number. So we have to work collectively, and that's why it's very important at the government level. So in Dubai, the Dubai Economic Security Council is working a lot to bring all the regulators together in terms of the cybersecurity, the cloud migrations, etc. In Dubai, we have a Dubai Digital Authority. The mandate of that authority is to bring every single regulator, financial, non-financial, Dubai Health Authority, RTA, into one single portal. So when you go to Dubai Digital Authority with one click, you get the entire statistics of the Emirate of Dubai. So regulators are already working on cross-border as well, and hopefully we will be able to reduce this fragmentation for the future of audit.
Thank you, Naveed. And if ADGM signs a MOU with DFSA, CA Rishi and the chapter will take some credit.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Absolutely.
One point, Paddy, I just want to add from a regulatory perspective and Government of India perspective. You know, when you're talking about the firms investing, however large they are, but just to keep you posted, like, you know, I don't know the number to be converted into dollars, 6 lakh crores is the budget of Government of India on Digital India Initiative. How much? $54 billion. Wow. Just imagine. We have already invested into it. And the best part is the kind of data integration which is happening, the departmental integration which is happening, which was never there earlier, is actually coming in a total different zone altogether. Paddy, the problem is not that the government is getting stronger in the process, but the problem is the chartered accountants are not getting stronger in the process because you do not have the access of this data. As a regulator, when you guys are sitting on the other side of the table, you have 10 questions to ask because you have access of data. How do you expect a chartered accountant who is signing on the other side will have that access data? If the government of India or UAE or whichever government you talk about is not going to give that information to the chartered accountants who are auditing that organization, tell me how complete are you to do an audit? So somewhere we all as a professional have to stand up together and tell the government, look, it is not only for the purpose of you using the data, but when we are given authority to audit, you also have to provide that access to us. That is one point.
Thank you, Daya. And
But can I just add one more thing?
Yes.
Last thing. Further to what Naveed said, I want to highlight this point that the ICAI members are very, very active in ADGM, and you're a very, very strong part of our professional community. In terms of how our jurisdiction operates, we are the commercial regulator for the entire jurisdiction. So audit is just one cohort or one facet of the supervision that we do. And it's important to highlight this because as auditors, we expect you all, or even as accountants, when you're in our jurisdiction, to be the gatekeepers, to facilitate business, to protect stakeholders. And the point about inspections, we, I think, as the regulators, we will carry on looking at underlying files. And I think in terms of the future, it will move more towards targeted reviews as well, because we get intelligence, we get referrals, or we get some sort of data about a particular entity in our jurisdiction. Immediately, one of the first point of contacts that we think about are the audit firms, because of the access to information and the important role auditors and accountants play. So keep that in mind, please, because we do lots of full on-site assessments where we're looking at the underlying files, but we also do lots of targeted inspections. And we can't do that without you guys all being a very, very important part of our community and as gatekeepers.
so what Talal is saying, if you have a modification of opinion, going concern issues, reputational issues with a client, it should surely be picked by the regulators for inspection. So thank you very much, Talal.
Thank you
and
so
I
much.
know you have a flight to catch,
Yes.
so we will bid adieu to you now. Can I request Rishi and Asta to come on stage along with Vice Chairman to give a memento to you before you depart?
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
No, Ashna, Ashna. So Shashank, in terms of AI, earlier we spoke about what is the art of possible today. So perhaps you can give some more insights from you around, what today can be done from a professional services firm in terms of testing through AI.
So again, I would like to break this down into three specific segments. The first is essentially going to be around where are we using AI at this point in time, which is like you had mentioned, you had given a plethora of solutions that we currently offer. But what's going to be interesting is what is it going to be used for perhaps in the next 3 to 5 years? And that's where it gets interesting. It's going to be more interesting from the aspect that you would start using this for benchmarking. Say, for example, you know a particular industry that you've been auditing, but how confident are you that you've adopted all the procedures that would have actually needed to be implied? And that's where you start getting the AI to start giving you insights as to have you performed right procedures? Are there certain additional procedures, very typical and tailored to the industry that you should have applied? And that's the kind of highlights and the risk planning that I was talking of earlier. But the third aspect is going to be what are those that do not go on to the AI, and that's the professional judgment, the key estimations, the going concerns of the world, the test of impairments, valuations. These would continue to remain core and fundamental to the audit professional judgment. The independence and objectivity is going to be core. So that's the way I look at the entire AI life cycle into what's there, what's for the future, and what does not go out.
Thank you. James, have there been any conversations from your clients to you on audit fees and AI? And what's your response if someone says, because of AI, you need to reduce your professional services fees? Give some tips to some of our members in the audience.
So I think...
and it's a two-way street. There are members in industry as well who are looking for your answers.
Yeah. So, yes, the general feeling is that a lot of savings in the way you do your audit. But I think that is not going to be the real reason. It is your expectation from the auditors have gone up. I'll talk from an audit committee chair, or when we look at auditors, we expect them to be continuously monitoring things, not just an assurance of their financial statements. We just need them to be giving an assurance to the committee that everything is going well, be it cyber, be it, so long as there is no conflict, so long as there is no compromise on the independence, we would want the auditors to be adding value. So a good CFO who runs, who is preparing the books of accounts, I don't think, even if the Big Four or a second-tier, mid-tier firm is doing the audit, the number's not going to change, right? Because all your IFRS, everything, the applicability is there. But what is that you're bringing on the table as an auditor? That matters. So going forward, the expectation level from the clients are going up. I think it gets offset by the fee part, which they talk about. They understand that part. That's what I would say, put it up that way.
So you're looking at delivering value for what you're doing and bringing in insights through AI.
Because traditionally might be spending a lot of our time in collecting data and analyzing that one, maybe lesser part of our time we are spending. But now it's going to be the other way around. The time what we spend to collect those data, interpretation time, actually we are able to do more on that, and that's where we can add value. And one more thing I wanted to just, the elephant in the room is the quality of the data. Because whatever you're going to do with the data, if, assuming a company which has got multiple ERPs, some part of the task are done in manual, how are you going to get that, automation from all this data? Because it's not going to be that easy. And I've seen in some of the Indian companies, and some of the banks also, they are following continuous monitoring of controls, CCM, which they call it. And because if anything goes wrong, they are able to see what is happening. You don't have to necessarily wait for a quarter end, for a year end to come back and see what exactly has gone wrong in a procurement, what has gone wrong in some other, processes. So I think this is what I would just say on here.
Thank you. Daya, earlier I spoke about private equity investment in audit firms. About 1,000 audit firms have received direct, indirect support from private equity houses. And, when we joined the profession, it was more around this generational aspect that you bring the firm in a position better than how you joined and pass it on to the next generation. With the PE entry into the audit firms, what is happening is that people are encashing what has been given to them, and this is being done under the pretext of the investment required to cope up with the future of audits. So we have largely seen this in the US, in the UK, and also certain parts of the Middle East. So you have notably Baker Tilly as well as Grant Thornton, and this is in public domain, so have received significant investment from private equity houses. So as the institute and as regulators, what's your perspective on this direction of travel of PE involvement in audit?
I'll answer this question, but I just have one question for the audience here. How many of you heard, I'm continuing with James' discussion, how many of you heard the concept of autonomous audit? Anyone here in this audience? One, only one. My request is just open the Google, type what is autonomous audit, and you'll get to know more about it, right? Which is what we have done for the biggest regulator of the country, C&AG. We gave them an idea of how autonomous audit can work. So this is done by ICAI, by no other firm or any other consultant as such. So that is one thing, because people now have to understand where we are heading towards in the profession, because the future is there, not what we are talking at this point in time. There's a lot of complexity which is involved. Now, when you talk about this private equity, now, see, ICAI as a body has been, I'll not say conservative, but have been very focused on holding the ethics at the strongest level. And I'm fortunate that I'm the vice chairman of Ethical Standard Board. So I have a lot of access to the data with regards to this new things which are happening. Now, what did ICAI do is primarily with regards to the investment you're talking about, 75% of the firms are proprietary concerns in India, unfortunately, and I think across the globe that's the same percentage which is there. So ICAI has thought about a concept called aggregation of CA firms. I don't know how many of you were aware.
Yeah.
Aggregation of CA firms has been initiated. Now, number one, that is basically with regards to mergers. Number two, we have created a concept called networking firms, right? Networking firms mean people have certain compliances that need to be done. There is an alliance model, there is a network model. In that also there are two stages. We have given step-by-step process. First, a live-in relationship, then the engagement, and then the marriage, which is a merger, technically. That is aggregation. So these are the three stages which ICAI has put it in a very simple term, if you ask. Now, why is that? Is primarily because ICAI is very clear that we do not want people to get influenced with the private equity coming in. Because this is a practice profession, it is not a business. We all have to understand this is a profession which an individual brain works and we deliver. Technology adoption, yes, you need to invest in that. You have banks for giving advancing loans, and the partners individually cannot do it. That's the reason this networking as well as the aggregation of CA firm model has been introduced. Now, there was one more discussion which is coming from the government of India was, why not you allow, or what is your thought, not allow, what is your thought on getting private equity into the firms? At that stage, Institute has decided two parts that divide the assurance and non-assurance functions separate. And in non-assurance function, if they want to do it, let them do what they want. But in assurance function, you cannot get any private equity. Just imagine, because, example, in my firm, there is a private equity investing. And today what will happen is it's going to influence a lot of such decisions which I am doing with various clients of mine, or maybe, unfortunately, the fact is all the private equity venture capital funds are insisting that these are the firms that need to audit you, my clients.
Yes.
Now tell me, is it right? The fundamental of audit profession itself is questioned now. The independence is completely lost. So technically when you talk, so I'm not going to give a conclusive answer, but yes, the fact is ICAI is working towards networking model. We are working towards aggregation of CA firms. We are talking about mergers. We are talking about dividing the CA practice into assurance and non-assurance function. And in non-assurance function, yes, you will be allowed to, make it right, whatever you say. Parallelly, institute is the only institute in the world. I'm proud to say that I'm a chartered accountant from Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, because this is the only institute which is investing its own people and technology. We are trying to get the best of the best technology available for our chartered accountants, even if they are individuals to practice. That is where the gap is.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We have come to the conclusion of our panel discussion. Really great insights from our wonderful panelists. I would like all of you to give a round of applause.
Thank you so much. Wonderful insights. I would say the session has given thoughts as well as the authorities' thoughts as well, what we are driving the region. Thank you so much. I would now like to invite our chairman, vice chairman, Vijay Bhai, Sanjay Bhai, and our partner, Elan, please, to felicitate our moderator and panelists. Have you seen these ice cream lollies today? Yes, they have been generously given us by our partner, Elan, cooling down our members, the AI in Elan.
Okay.